Welcome to the Stereofade Podcast, where we discuss music news and provide interviews with amazing artists from around the music scene. Now, here's your host and editor-in-chief of Stereofade.com, Josh Brown.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Stereofade Podcast. My name is Josh Brown, and today we have an amazing talent with us. We have the wonderfully talented Moy Cohen. How you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, how you doing?
Doing great. Just trying to make it through. It's been so busy the past few months for me, but really recently, ever since my kids started kindergarten, man, I cannot afford to do anything, man. But
No.
yeah, I don't think you have that problem. not yet.
I feel like life always like throws things at you, right? It's like there's always a million things going on.
Exactly. But yeah, it's good to see you and get to talk to you. I've enjoyed your music. When I first heard it, what to expect, because I knew it'd be kind of an interesting mix. But once I heard the Photographs song, I was kind of hooked in. So it's a pleasure to talk to you, and we can see if we can learn a little bit of information about you.
Yeah, sure.
So I would say you would classify yourself as kind of an alt pop artist. Is that right?
Yeah, I always struggle to like put a label on top of the exact genre, because I listen to a lot of different types of music and they all weave their way into the style of music that I end up writing. But yeah, alternative pop, there's a bit of folk in there, a bit of soul. Depending on what song you're listening to, I think there's slightly different influences. But yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can definitely hear a couple different influences kind of shine through. What kind of so I can hear the soul, I can hear the pop, maybe a little folk and everything mixed in there. What was kind of your favorite genre just growing up, kind of influenced mainly influenced the way you proceeded in life?
I think growing up, I listened to, at the time I wrote Overgrown, I was listening to a lot of singer-songwriter, a lot of alternative pop. Also, I listened to a lot of Coldplay growing up. That was what my dad would always have on in the car. Songs like Green Eyes. Green Eyes is one of my favorite songs still to this day to cover, because it just takes me back to that sort of childlike state. Tom Odell, Ed Sheeran, all of those are influences for this EP. And then also I'd listen to a lot of James Blake and Bon Iver and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So you can hear the Coldplay and James Blake influences. Is there are there any Latin artists that may influence any of your style?
I think back then I wasn't listening to that much Latin music, but because I grew up between Mexico and England, it's definitely, that side of my life definitely has had an influence, if not sonically on this EP, it's more topically, that sort of feeling of being split between these two very different cultures and two different sides of my life. Latin artists who I love Natalia Lafourcade. She's great. I really like Bad Bunny's music. I think it's really really catchy, good, gets people dancing. And I always used to listen to Julieta Venegas growing up as well.
I bet, yeah. Can't go wrong with Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
A lot different than what I've heard from you so far, if
There's no reggaeton on the way as of yet, but who knows?
Yeah,
I like to experiment with different things, and
yeah, not bad. So as far as you've grown up as a singer, you're a instrumentalist as well. You play a couple of different instruments, or what do you play?
Yeah, I'd started playing the cello when I was 5 because my grandma is a cello teacher. She's been a huge influence and great support for me throughout my music career. And I think her and my grandfather are a big reason why I'm passionate about what I do and why I chose this path as a musician. Then later, I started teaching myself the guitar and piano to write songs with. I've only really learned officially the cello, and then the other two I kind of just taught myself.
Did you learn the piano before you went to the guitar?
Yeah, piano. I started learning the piano when I was around 13. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a very visual way of learning music, and it was a very good route into songwriting uh, because in many ways, I mean, playing piano well is really hard, but once you grasp the basics of the basic chords and stuff, you could very easily write a song quite proficiently just with the basics. And then I I started writing songs on the guitar when I was 15. After my granddad gave me a guitar as a present, and the first song I wrote was actually "Childhood Photographs," which you mentioned earlier on the guitar. And I just used 2 notes. Not particularly good at playing the guitar, or I wasn't when I wrote "Childhood Photographs." But like I said, I feel like to write songs, you don't need to be outstanding at your particular instrument. You've just got to you it's just good as long as you can get what's in your mind out, then it's good enough.
Exactly. Yeah, I can picture that. Well, that's cool. Yeah, kind of having a couple different instruments and transitions between them to help with the songwriting. How long ago did you write childhood photographs?
So I wrote that when I was 15, so that's god 7-8 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a while ago. It's been a whole long process
Mm-hmm.
recording it, getting it out. It's been through many iterations, but yeah, it's one of my favorite songs still that I've ever written. Feels really raw still, and feels very very me. I don't know if it feels like my essence in a song. So yeah, even though I wrote it so long ago, it still really resonates with who I am today.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a pretty deep song to write at what 15.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
had.
I feel like for various reasons I grew up quite quick, and I think lots of the topics in the EP, are um, quite hard hitting. It talks a lot about mental health challenges that I've faced and kind of battled through and grown through. It's kind of the meaning behind the title of the EP, Overgrown. Um, it's in many ways, on one hand, the songs themselves are overgrown because I wrote them so long ago and it's taken me a while to release them. And in other ways, I felt quite overgrown as a person because of going through certain situations with my family. I felt like I needed to grow up quick, and all of those emotions are kind of packed into this EP.
Yeah, I can see that. Have so it's clearly taken a few years to kind of, I guess, build the album the way you want it. Has your approach to the song or the songwriting kind of changed a bit, at least from maybe when you wrote Childhood Photographs, if that song has changed from the time you released it, or any of your songs kind of shaped or changed based on your new life experiences at that time?
Yeah, all of the songs changed quite a bit in the studio in the process of recording them. The reason why it took so long is because I'd record in Mexico when I'd go and visit my dad on my Christmas and summer holidays. Um, and naturally at 15, my voice would change every time I went back, and
Right.
I'd live with the songs a bit, and maybe the tempo or key that I was singing them in would change. So it was a long, drawn out process. Didn't really well. It could have been quicker, but it wasn't, and but it was necessary to get them to where they were. I think now I'm far less of a perfectionist. I think I I definitely was chasing a sort of perfection that was holding me back, and I decided that I just needed to release these songs and let them live their life. And now I'm very much focused on continuing that mind state in my work now, and just writing, recording, releasing, and it being a more of a natural process. I've definitely learned a lot along the years, but I think that's probably my biggest takeaway, is um, that sometimes seeking perfection can hold you back more than you'd expect.
Exactly. Yeah, I've heard the phrase a lot here. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And
Yeah, for
I
sure.
take that to heart, because perfect is hard to achieve, if at all. So I
Yeah. Yeah, I have a similar quote that I always refer to, which my girlfriend showed me from I forget which book it's from, but it's, now that you stop trying to be perfect, you can be good. It's pretty much the same sentiment, right? It definitely, trying to be perfect gets in the way, and ends up halting your progress in the grand scheme of things.
exactly. So going back to childhood photographs, it's such a personal track, especially for you to have written it or started that process, so young. At least
Yeah,
as young to me. I'm 33, so 15. I can't even imagine. I don't know what I was doing at 15,
15
but
is so young to me as well. I can't believe that it has been 8 years. It feels like just yesterday. It's funny how time flies. Um,
exactly. And
yeah.
so, can you talk a little bit about the inspiration behind childhood photographs and how you felt sharing such a vulnerable part of your life with your listeners?
Yeah, so childhood photographs is really about that feeling growing up between two different homes, one in Mexico, one in England. That feeling of displacement that I had, and not really knowing where to call home. Um, it's really was written just as a way of processing those emotions, and I think that goes to say for all of the songs on the EP. Firstly, they were just forms of self therapy for myself, and songwriting in general is something I started doing to help myself deal with these difficult emotions growing up. Um, Childhood photographs is about that. I just moved in to my grandparents' house in Bristol, and as I mentioned earlier, my granddad gave me a guitar as a present, as just because I think he'd seen that I was curious. He, I was playing his guitar sometimes, and I'd hardly played the guitar before, but he saw I was interested in it, so he gave me a guitar as a gift, and it kind of just poured out of me this this feeling of displacement and not knowing where to call home. Kind of became childhood photographs, and yeah, it has. Out of all of the songs on the EP, childhood photographs I think has changed the least since we throughout the recording process. It's still very, very similar to the original voice memo that I recorded on my phone when I first wrote it.
Yeah, no, that's it's a lot. It's something about the youth of this generation. At least you're. I guess you're what, 23 now or 22.
Yeah,
Um, so it's something about the way y'all experience emotion and convey emotion that I don't think my generation ever felt comfortable doing when I was your age. So I kind of commend you and peers and fellow artists like you for kind of putting your emotions out there for others to understand and kind of relate to. And there's always somebody listening to that can relate to you. So I always commend artists like yourself for kind of wearing it on your sleeve and putting it all out there for everybody.
Yeah, I think people are definitely becoming more aware of mental health issues, and the stigma's kind of there's less of a stigma now for sure, and that just comes with awareness. And I think people creating art and having a creative outlet for their to help them deal with certain mental health issues or issues they face in their life is really good, because number one, it helps them, but also in by sharing your art, you're then also helping people who connect with it. So um, yeah, it's great, I think. um, I mean, even the other day I was watching Inside Out 2 on
Oh,
Disney,
that's my movie, man.
and I feel like even in films like that, they're great resources for people growing up to to notice a lot more um, about feelings like anxiety, and notice that it is normal and something that everyone experiences.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, appreciate you sharing that, and yeah, Inside Out too, man. That that tug on your feelings a bit. It had me say I haven't been through that phase of my life in almost 20 years, but you still you know
Yeah, it's very relatable. Very relatable.
yeah, it's not bad. So another song that I really liked was Against the Wind.
Yeah,
Um, just hearing those lyrics, about sailing against the wind and everything. How was that process from a songwriting standpoint for you?
that was God, it's so long ago that I I struggle to really remember, but it was similar. I wrote it on the acoustic guitar only, and then in the studio it became sort of the full band sound that you hear on the EP. It's very much about um, that feeling once you get through a difficult period in your life when you feel good, and almost the fear that you'll revert back to sort of feeling down again, or feeling um, whatever you've pulled through. Um, yeah, Against the Wind's one of my favorites as well. I think um, it's always been it's always been one of my favorites. I really like the message behind it, and I like the sound. I really like the Hammond organ in the background when it starts kind of oscillating. It's really cool.
I gotta listen out for that Hammond organ. I should know that. That's a big word, man.
Yeah, it's we when I was recording it, I had no idea what I was doing, because playing the organ's really hard, because you have to keep your fingers down. Um, it's not like a piano where you have a sustain pedal. So it was a big learning curve. I think it took like a whole day to get that track on, and you have to switch the thing that makes it oscillate on. It was a long time ago, but I can remember it being a bit of a struggle, but it's a cool sound. I was really happy with it.
And I gotta go back and listen to it. Look out for some oscillation. No, that's
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
It's subtle, but I feel like it's stuff like that where I might notice it because I recorded it and it was like a conscious choice, but it might just not be that prominent. But whenever every time I hear it, I listen out for it.
It's a lot of music nowadays. Like there's well, not just nowadays, but just throughout history. Just so many minor things that turn a song from good to great. And it could be something that the regular listener wouldn't know what it is, but if you take it out, then the song becomes something else. Or if
Yeah,
you re-record it differently, is something. It changes everything. So yeah, I can. It's always that. I mean, some of these stuff I noticed. Like I was, like this is not any way related, but Taylor Swift is re-recording her tracks,
Mhm.
and you can you always notice something different. Listening to her version versus the original version, just
Yeah,
because it's those minor things that don't kind of make it over to the new version.
yeah. It's just a slightly different feel. I often get that when I look. back at voice notes from the first ever versions of songs, and sometimes it's very hard to capture that same feeling in a studio of just setting your phone down, that raw feeling of just recording something, very personal. um, I think Jacob Collier released a song I really love. I forget the name. It's like Sun something. The sun is in the title of the song, but he just released the voice note because he said he couldn't capture that same feeling in the studio. And I do agree with that. Sometimes I think it's a struggle. It's very easy to overproduce as well, and somehow by adding more, you lose some stuff. I don't know, it's a fine balance, but then again, the more you think about it, the more you get into the realms of seeking perfection, right? And as we said, that gets in the way of being good.
Exactly. Was it that song you're talking about? The sun is in your eyes.
Yeah. That's the one. It's really good.
I gotta check it out. I was using my extremely fast Google skills to
Yeah,
find
nice.
it, so, and I found the voice memo too. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm gonna transition a little bit. So you've lived in I guess 3 countries at this point. Is it
yeah,
Mexico, England, and Australia?
yeah.
How is kind of, and you mentioned a little bit before, but how has let's living across those 3 countries shaped your musical identity or artistic identity?
I think I recorded all my EP in Mexico, so that was great. I think I have two very English and Mexican culture are very different, and just having those two sides must have influenced me in some way. I can't really put a finger on exactly how it has, but like I said, just with the topic of the EP, it very much goes into those feelings of being pulled between two very different worlds and not knowing where exactly to call home. Moving to Australia was a recent thing. I just moved out here with my girlfriend to have a fresh start, to explore the world, to see what it had to offer, and so far so good. It's a lot sunnier than England, which is great.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Really like the music out here. It's a lot of indie rock, a lot of surf rock, and I'm learning to surf as well.
Right.
Um, I'm learning to surf. Well, when I say learning to surf, I'm mostly falling off my board into the water and getting tumbled around. But
You
that's
start somewhere.
exactly. I think I enjoy that. So even if I just keep falling off for the rest of my life, as long as I'm enjoying it, I think it's
Hey,
fun.
I mean, even if you fall one time, that's still better than I would ever do on board.
Yeah.
So because I can't even like stand on a skateboard for more than like 3 seconds. So don't
Oh no,
put
I have terrible balance. I have terrible balance. I'm the same. But I don't know. At least with surfing, you can land on some water and you're not landing on concrete and
yeah,
grazing yourself.
exactly. Huh. There's a group, I think they're based in Australia, that I've listened a bit to. I think they're called Parcels. I don't know if
Parcel. Yeah.
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, I've enjoyed their music. Of course,
I
the
didn't.
video I like is them surfing. I think what's the song? Tied Up Right Now, and they're like surfing and
Yeah.
everything. So
I didn't know they were Aussie. It's funny you don't realize, and then like I didn't realize until I moved here that half of the people I was listening to were Australian artists. They make great music out here.
yeah,
Really feel good music. Yeah,
no, that's cool. So yeah, well, it seems like you're enjoying your time in Australia. How long have you been there?
like a year and a half, a year and a couple, 3-4 months now. Yeah, yeah.
Not bad, not bad. So yeah, so you've you spoken a bit about mental health and tying it in with maybe let's say self therapy
Hmm.
um for you and for I guess creating the music and writing the music. Um, do you feel that your songwriting helps others around you as much as it may help you? Like maybe help your family, friends, girlfriend, or is it just more for like your listeners? To relate to. How do you think your personal connections have kind of benefited from hearing your songwriting?
I think they've definitely benefited. Um, uh, the song that jumps to mind for me would be "Pick Up the Pieces." I wrote that for my brother going through a difficult time, and I sent it to him, and I'm not sure if it helped him, but I I often write songs for people who I feel for people who I care about who might be going through something difficult, um, and yeah, hopefully they help them. But if not, then that's also all right. But I think he definitely liked it, and I have had some people reach out on social media just telling me that they've really connected with stuff that I've shared and that they appreciate my sort of honesty with it. Yeah, I I think definitely in sharing, these personal experiences, I hope that they can the songs can help other people through their struggles.
Feel like that can be a tricky question for some people. If they write more superficially, I guess. But I can tell your music is more personal, and if it's not for you, it's for somebody or experience you may have had. So that's
Yeah.
good to kind of see how that personal connection you create through your music also can connect to real life.
Yeah, it's interesting as well because while the songs might mean something to me, for someone else listening to them, they'll might derive a completely different meaning from them that's completely different to the meaning that I had when I wrote the song. But that's all right, as it's art. It's open to interpretation.
Right, right. Yeah, I see that a lot. Even songs I listen to, I would think it has one meaning, and then you listen to an interview about the artist, and then it was like, oh, I didn't. I thought we were just making a dance song. I didn't think it was a whole emotional you know song and breakthrough for them. So
Yeah, like Ocean. Lots of people
mhm.
think of it as like more of a love song,
Yeah,
but for me, I wrote that like the meaning behind it is so far off that and so trivial. I wrote Ocean when I was at school. I was mostly friends with people in the year above, right? And my girlfriend was also in the year above me at school, and then obviously they went off to university,
mhm.
um, and it was that I wrote it just feeling down because I knew that I had a very like a difficult year ahead with all my friends going off, and that's what I wrote it about. And then now some people are listening to it, and for them it's a love song or means something else. um, Even for me now it means different things to when I originally wrote it because I'm in a very different place. And um, when you've had songs been living with songs for so long, you kind of have to you don't have to, but you naturally change them. Their meaning to you naturally changes as you grow up and different problems in your life present themselves.
Good point. Yeah. Huh, that's great. So kind of speaking similarly to that, or I guess what how songs are interpreted and everything. Are there any genres or musical styles or musical approaches or topics or anything like that that you haven't explored yet, but want to in the future or the near future?
I think definitely expect some more love songs from me
Okay.
because this EP was written between the ages of 15 and 17, and um, I've now been with my girlfriend for nearly 8 years, and I've written a lot of love songs on the way, and yeah, genres I'd like to explore. I'd definitely like to sing more in Spanish. I I think I speak Spanish. I grew up between these two. Um, very different cultures. So I'd like that to shine through a bit more in my music. I think I never actively set out to write a specific genre. Kind of depends on what I'm listening to at the time. I think some happier music as well, some more feel good music. Living out here in the sun in Australia definitely helps.
Oh yeah.
That. Yeah, I guess I've got a lot of songs in the works in a variety of different styles. So um, we'll see when they piece themselves together and I can share them.
Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to the dance track. So I
Well,
can't go wrong.
there was a much more upbeat song on the EP that I last minute took off it because it didn't work
Yeah.
in the concept of the EP. Um, Still, it was topically it wasn't that happy, but it was much more upbeat. And um, I'll have to release it at some point, but it definitely wasn't the right time for it.
Right.
EP.
Yeah, you can always get it ready for at least summertime up here or springtime in the March,
Yeah,
April.
exactly. Well, it's nearly that's the thing. Living in Australia, it's
Right.
if I'm releasing songs, summery songs here, it's midwinter in England. No one wants to be listening to
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
whole different vibe because you got to think 6 months ahead, I guess.
exactly. Plan ahead. It's good. It gives me
Exactly.
time. I'm living in the future, so
Hey,
15 hours ahead of you, right? So
yeah, I just have a couple more questions for you. So was your family pretty much a big musical family?
yeah, on my mum's side,
Mhm.
definitely. On my dad's side, not so much. You won't like that I'm saying that, but yeah, my mum's side very musical. Um, my grandma is a wonderful cellist. My granddad, um, amazing violinist. He was part of a band called Van der Graaf Generator, um, and and then um, my my grandma remarried, so my other grandfather, who sadly passed away recently, was very, very musical. He was a great piano tuner. He did all of the big concerts in England. He was tuning the pianos for. So I definitely a lot of music on that side of my family, and I think my grandma and granddad are a big reason why I pursued this life as a musician. Yeah, they've always been very supportive.
That's not bad. And then they've I guess it was pretty important that they or how it your musical heritage, at least on your mom's side, kind of shaped you as an artist today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I got a lot of knowledge, musical knowledge, learning the cello classically that has translated into my songwriting today. I love classical music. I think nothing nothing compares to it in terms of the emotion it can convey. Right, it's nothing really pulls on my heartstrings as much. And I hadn't listened to that much classical music for a while, but then when my grandfather passed away, when I was planning the the music for his funeral, I kind of went down the rabbit hole again because I always used to go to concerts with them growing up, and yeah, fell back in love with that world of music. Yeah,
No, I can understand. It's good to just have something to kind of connect to. That's what makes that music so personal.
yeah,
And we can feel it, not just hear it, but kind of feel it, through your writing and your vocals and everything. So
mhm,
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Um,
It was nice using real strings and the great arrangements in the EP as well. I think gives it a really nice sound on the cello part in Childhood Photographs. Actually, is one of my favorite. I wrote it, um, and it's yeah. I feel like the sound of the cello is just so nice. I love the sound of it as an instrument. I think it's something like it's the most. It's very close tonally to like the human voice. That's why it sounds so pleasing. But yeah,
Something I never thought about, but I can
yeah,
see that. Yeah, that's good. I need to get back into my strings. To find out, I've only learned how to play one instrument when I was a kid, and it was my mom taught me how to play a clarinet.
oh cool.
So I played that, and then didn't touch music for a while, and then I bought a guitar a few years ago, and I have not learned how to use it, and it's just sitting right over there, just in a chair, just not doing anything. So
Oh well, just I always find the guitar is just like a glorified fidget spinner for me. I just sit for hours, just literally. I could just play the same chord over it again and just move one finger. It's yeah, I find it really satisfying. Um, yeah,
yeah, I imagine like, you're of course a talented musician. I'm not, but I just enjoy listening to instrumentals, and I can listen to. You should have an instrumental version of your album. Put that out for us.
yeah, I should definitely because a lot of it is I have versions without the vocals in because a lot of it's very cinematic and like would be good in TV shows. Ocean got used in a TV show, Walker, a while back. But yeah, definitely has that sort of um, cinematic feel to it with the string arrangements and yeah, everything else. It's quite atmospheric.
So you said Oceans was in Walker.
Yeah,
Is it the new Walker, like the remake of Texas Ranger Walker, or is
yeah,
it a different
yeah,
one?
the new one.
Okay.
Yeah, with the guy from Gilmore Girls.
Any other platforms you've had on, like BBC Music or anything like that? You've
BBC
had
thing,
on?
yeah. They've played my songs a few times on the radio, and yeah, it was just really cool seeing my song on a TV show. It was a bucket list moment, and hopefully the first of many. But even if it only happens once, it was great, you know.
You're syndicated now, so yeah, you're stuck in history. I gotta find that episode. I haven't watched Walker yet, but I watched the original growing up all the time.
Oh
So
yeah, nice.
I gotta.
Yeah, I'd never heard of the show, but I watched it. It's good. Yeah, it's cool.
We love some Texas Rangers up here.
Yeah.
But yeah, just speaking on having a platform, not just for music or being TV, but also just are you or have you used your platform that you have to kind of push things you feel about, like you mentioned, like mental health advocacy, or just overall just being able to express yourself. How have you used, or how do you use your platform to promote things like that?
I think predominantly really just through the topics in my songs, um, and then having conversations with people. People message me and because they've heard my songs and they've helped them, or because they resonate with the meaning behind the song, and I chat with them, and it's nice connecting with people in that way. Um, yeah, I kind of I'm not great on social media. I struggle to really feel motivated to use it that much,
Same.
which is something I need to work on. But also, like, it's also fine. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I think it's a great tool for reaching people, and yeah, I try to share the stories behind the songs as much as I can, um, and I think that's a nice way of I mean, I think I've found really useful resources through social media when I've been going through mental health issues, because there's so many people online and sharing their stories. It's very useful because you see that you're not facing anything really alone, and that you're not like crazy for having the issues that you have. There's lots of people dealing with the same stuff as you, and that's I like I struggled a lot with intrusive thoughts and stuff like that, and I found it very comforting knowing that I wasn't the only one. And I think that's something great about social media. Lots of people sharing their stories, and yeah, that's definitely something that I intend to do, is share the stories behind the songs for that purpose.
No, I understand. No, that's a great answer, and I appreciate you using your music as a platform, and just to help others, who can relate or maybe not quite, understand what they're going through, but kind of find a connection with your music. So I appreciate you doing that. I have one more question for you. Um, what advice would you give to young musicians who might be struggling to finding their own voice or dealing with life's challenges?
Um, One piece of advice, I think it goes back again to the not seeking perfection. Just focus on being an artist. I think if you're feeling blocked as an artist, instead of trying to force it, you should just go out, live your life, and fill your life with enriching experiences that will then enrich your art. I I'd say I found two books really helpful. The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. I I did that. It's like a 12-week sort of self-help course. Um, Found that really useful for for healing from things that were blocking my creative process, and then also it's here somewhere. It's the Rick Rubin book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being, also really good. But yeah, just don't overthink it. Just and be kind on yourself. It's being an artist is hard. I'm always somewhere between doubting everything or no, I'm always either doubting everything or extremely confident in what I'm doing and never in between, just kind of bouncing between the two. Um, and yeah, just keep at it. That's what I'd say. And don't focus on being perfect. Just focus on making your art.
Well said. Don't focus on being perfect. That's the theme of today. So, yeah. Well, Moy, it was nice chatting with you. I learned a lot about you and more insight to what goes into your music and your songwriting and everything. And I appreciate you sharing this information with me. And yeah, anything else you wanna add or say?
Just yeah, thank you for having me, Josh. And yeah, go listen to the EP if you're listening, and let me know what you think. 8 songs that are incredibly dear to me, and I'm happy they're out there for everyone to listen to.
That's awesome. Yeah, the album is great, and it is titled Overgrown. And you're in a bunch of leaves that seem to be overgrown. So nice artwork.
Yeah. Yeah, that was in my grandparents' garden. I got back, and the ivy had just like completely grown over this bench, and I didn't have a name for the EP yet, and then my girlfriend took that photo, and we were like, oh, let's go with that.
Hey, sometimes it just hits you.
Exactly.
It ends up being, I guess we can't say it ends up being perfect, but it's good enough.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. I was waiting for the perfect name, perfect photo, and then I was like, let's just use this.
Hey, works for me.
Yeah.
Good chatting with you.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks for listening to the Stereofade Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and check us out on our website, stereofade.com, on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at @Stereofade, and on YouTube at @Stereofade Podcast.